After being subjected to the torture, Dahlia finally passed out. Her back was bloody and horrific to look at. The fresh wounds were still bleeding profusely, her body still twitching uncontrollably even while she was passed out. "General, she has lost consciousness," one of his men reported. "Wake her up and keep going." Travis spat coldly. "Uncle Travis, can I have a go?" Edward interjected eagerly. Ever since he was crippled, there had been a tremendous shift in his psychology. The more beautiful a woman was, the more he wanted to destroy her. "If you want to, go ahead." Travis nodded in approval. "Thank you, Uncle Travis." Edward grinned eerily. Once Dahlia awakened, he wielded the whip in his hand and struck her. "Tell me. Just kill me." Dahlia could no longer endure the pain. Her mind was at the end of its rope. Now, she could only hope they would put an end to her misery. "Kill you? Not so fast. I haven't even had enough." Edward smiled sadistically and continued with the torture. After a while, Dahlia, covered in bruises, fell into a coma again. "General, the murderer hasn't been revealed. If this continues, she will die soon," the adjutant reminded. "This woman is so stubborn." Travis was impressed. This torture device was typically used to coerce confessions. People usually confessed to everything after 3 whips. Even specially trained forces would not be able to handle a dozen lashes. Yet, this woman was able to withhold dozens of whips without revealing anything. Even he couldn't help but be impressed. "Hang her at the entrance as bait. Call off the surrounding guards and see if Dustin will come to rescue her." Travis commanded. "Yes, sir." The adjutant answered and hung the unconscious Dahlia at the gates. "Don't you die on me. I'll have my fun with you when I capture Dustin." Edward licked the drops of blood at the corner of his mouth with a perverse smile. Dustin had just finished his meal at the peaceful medical center when he received a call. It was Hunter Anderson, and he sounded like he was in a hurry. "Mr. Rhys, I've received news that Ms. Nicholson has been arrested." "Arrested?" Dustin frowned. "It's Travis Spanner. He arrested Ms. Nicholson and her family for the crime of treason. They are receiving private punishment now." Hunter explained. Dustin's face fell when he heard this. He knew very clearly what type of person Travis was. No ordinary person could bear the torture methods in the war zone. "Where is Travis?" Dustin was very anxious. "At the Spanner Villa. Mr. Rhys, Travis has set an ambush for you. You shouldn't be too impulsive." Wait, before Hunter could finish, Dustin had already hung up the phone and rushed out. When he arrived at Spanner Villa, he saw a woman hanging from the front of the villa doors. The woman's hair was disheveled, her clothes were torn, and blood trickled down her body. It was a horrible sight to behold. Dustin's eyes widened in shock when he realized the woman hanging there was Dahlia. Dustin balled his hand into a fist. A murderous aura erupted from him. Suddenly, there was a gust of strong wind that sent the rocks flying. Even the surrounding temperature started to drop rapidly. Dustin shot up and cut off the rope with one hand. He caught Dahlia, who was covered in blood, and landed gently on the ground. At this moment, Dahlia had already passed out, and the wounds on her back were an unsightly mess. The sight of those whip marks and wounds pierced Dustin's heart like a sharp knife. "Just kill me," Dahlia mumbled unconsciously. She must have suffered a lot of pain to ask for death. "I'm sorry." Dustin's hands were trembling. Tears pricked his eyes. He knew that Dahlia was in this mess because of him. He dragged her into this. "Ha ha! Dustin Rhys, you're finally here." Edward roared as he and his men walked out slowly. "You did this?" Dustin raised his head slowly, his eyes fixed on the whip in Edward's hands. "So what? What can you do to me at this point?" Edward was not afraid at all. Although his uncle had withdrawn half the troops, there were more than a dozen heavily armed elites ambushed around. Each of these men could defeat 100 people. It would be easy to deal with this one man. "Dustin, is it? Did you kill my brother, Trevor?" Travis asked. "It was me." Dustin answered plainly. As he spoke, his gaze was fixed on Edward. "I'm glad that you admit it. Now, go pay for your sins before my brother's coffin before I end your life," Travis said coldly. "Pay for my sins?" Dustin snorted coldly. "Even your superior, Adam Spanner, would not speak to me this way. You're nothing to me." "Him?" Travis raised an eyebrow. Adam Spanner was the commanding general in the Western Army. He was also his superior. Only a handful of people know about his existence. How had Dustin heard of him? "You know Chief General Spanner?" Travis was slightly taken aback. "I'll give you a chance to take your own life out of respect for Adam. This way, your body might still be intact." Dustin demanded. "Keep my body intact?" Before Travis could respond, Edward guffawed loudly. Are you out of your mind? Open your eyes and recognize your place in this world. As he spoke, the other hidden elites immediately revealed themselves. Each armed soldier looked very threatening and menacing. However, Dustin didn't even pay any attention to them. His eyes were focused on Edward as if he were already a dead man. His body could stay intact, but you would have nothing left but bones. Then, Dustin immediately made his move.